Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion, but the reality is she's just not stable.
And you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's gonna lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
When she speaks, she gets less likable. There's some clip of her on the internet in her Snow White outfit saying, every hour I am in the outfit of Snow White wearing the dress. All 18 hours, I deserve to be paid for every single one. Oh, really? Are you having trouble paying your bills, Rachel? Did Steven Spielberg not pay you for your role in West Side Story? Did Disney fail to give you a healthy paycheck for, cry me a river? She's just exactly everything that we can't stand.
I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Alex, what has been the reaction to Disney's latest expensive own goal?
Well, the reaction has been absolutely horrible. It is the worst box office from a Disney live action remake that they've ever done. And
I mean, they're projected to lose between $200 and $400 million on this.
The thing that really shocks me about this story, Disney and all these media companies, they invest hundreds of millions of dollars into these projects, right? Have they ever thought about maybe a little bit of vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing before you go and hire some Zoom?
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
Hold on. Here. Yeah, hold on.
All right. Congrats, Rachel.
Oh my God.
Nobody
Who
wants
wants
that.
a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? The outrage.
One day, she was Hollywood's golden girl. The next, she vanished without a trace, like she'd been scrubbed from the spotlight overnight. No press junkets, no glamorous red carpet appearances, not even a single tweet or Instagram story. Rachel Zegler, the face of Disney's jaw-dropping $250 million Snow White reboot, suddenly went radio silent. And the timing? Absolutely catastrophic. Just as the film flopped in theaters, just as the online backlash reached a boiling point, and just as Disney executives desperately tried to contain the mess, Rachel disappeared from public view entirely. Whispers began to circulate. Some claimed she was laying low in Dubai to dodge the press storm. Others insisted she was slapped with a strict gag order, legally barred from saying a word. Conspiracy theories exploded, suggesting she might be facing legal trouble, internal disciplinary action, or even that she'd been quietly blacklisted. But beneath all the noise, one truth echoed loud and clear. Something had gone very wrong. And it looked like Disney was working overtime to bury it. So, what really happened to Rachel Zegler? And why is the same studio that once hailed her as the future of their billion-dollar empire now acting like she never existed? Let's break down the bizarre disappearance of Rachel Zegler and the chaos Disney doesn't want you to see. It started like a Hollywood dream, the kind of story you'd expect from a movie script. Rachel Zegler went from posting YouTube covers in her bedroom to being handpicked by none other than Steven Spielberg to star in his remake of West Side Story. Practically overnight, she became Hollywood's new obsession, a fresh face with a powerhouse voice and a Cinderella-like origin story. Critics were calling her a revelation. Fans were obsessed. She even won a Golden Globe before she'd even turned 21. So when Disney tapped her to lead their $250 million live-action reboot of Snow White, it felt like a match made in fairy tale heaven. A Latina actress playing one of Disney's most iconic roles? It was historic, progressive, and headline-worthy. But as soon as the press tour kicked off, things took a hard left turn. Instead of honoring the original film that had defined generations, Zegler seemed to go out of her way to distance herself from it. She called the 1937 classic weird, implied that the prince was more of a stalker than a hero, and said her version of Snow White wouldn't be dreaming of true love because this new Snow White was a boss who didn't need a man. Interviews started piling up with quotes that rubbed longtime Disney fans the wrong way. What was meant to be empowering and refreshing came off, to many, as smug and dismissive. Fans felt like their childhoods were being mocked by the very person meant to bring the magic back to life. Clip after clip of Rachel's interviews started making the rounds online, and not in a good way. Within days, they were viral for all the wrong reasons. In one now infamous moment, she casually joked about being paid just to wear a pretty dress, brushing off the question like it was beneath her. In another, she visibly rolled her eyes at questions about romance and love stories, dismissing the very themes that had made Snow White a beloved classic. And perhaps most shockingly, she admitted she hadn't seen the original 1937 film in years, and when she had, she didn't even really like it. What she may have intended to sound empowered or irreverent ended up landing with a thud. To many, she came off as arrogant, ungrateful, and completely disconnected from the character and the fanbase she was supposed to represent. Suddenly, TikTok was ablaze with stitches mimicking her tone and expressions, twisting her soundbites into memes. Twitter users tore her apart in thread after thread, calling her tone-deaf and disrespectful. And YouTube quickly filled up with reaction videos, hot takes, and brutal commentary, with titles like "Rachel Zegler just doesn't get it" and "What's wrong with Rachel Zegler?" And remember, this PR nightmare all unfolded before the movie even hit theaters. The damage was already done. When Snow White finally hit theaters, it didn't just underperform, it bombed in spectacular fashion, sending shockwaves across the entertainment industry and leaving Disney in a full-blown crisis. The film reportedly cost over $250 million to make, and when you add in marketing campaigns, global press tours, merchandising, and international distribution deals, the total investment ballooned. Some insiders estimate that Disney stood to lose over $400 million, an astronomical number for a studio that once prided itself on turning every classic into a billion-dollar juggernaut. So how did it all spiral so disastrously out of control? Some pointed fingers at the screenplay, calling it uninspired and overly modernized. Others took aim at the CGI-heavy visuals that failed to deliver the magic audiences had come to expect. But the loudest, most relentless criticism? It zeroed in on the film's public image, specifically the media circus that erupted in the lead-up to release. And at the center of that storm was one person, Rachel Zegler. Suddenly, executives were in panic mode. Meetings were called. Fingers were pointed. People wanted answers. Why didn't anyone from the PR team intervene sooner? Who approved the talking points? Why wasn't the messaging locked down from day one? And perhaps most baffling of all, how did the lead actress end up publicly bashing the very film she was supposed to champion? The situation had gone from bad to catastrophic, and Disney knew it. And then, just like that, Rachel Zegler disappeared into thin air. No red carpet appearances. No talk show interviews. No behind-the-scenes photos. No paparazzi sightings. Not even a cryptic Instagram story or a casual like on Twitter. Her social media feeds went dark. Publicists clammed up. Fans noticed her absence almost instantly, and they weren't quiet about it. It was like she'd fallen off the face of the earth, wiped clean from the Hollywood radar overnight. Speculation exploded across fan forums and gossip sites. Some swore she was hiding out in Dubai, attempting to ride out the backlash far from Hollywood's relentless spotlight. Others theorized that Disney had yanked her from public view, issuing a behind-the-scenes gag order to avoid further controversy. A few even pushed the theory that she might be caught up in legal drama, potentially facing behind-the-scenes lawsuits or disciplinary action. Whatever the truth is, one thing's for sure. No one was talking. Not her reps, not Disney, not even anonymous insiders. And in an industry addicted to leaks and spin, that kind of silence is deafening and suspicious. Behind closed doors, things got significantly messier, way beyond what the public was allowed to see. According to multiple industry insiders, Disney went into full damage control mode. Emergency meetings were reportedly held across several departments, from PR and legal to marketing and talent relations. The word was that Rachel may have seriously crossed a line by publicly trashing the project in interviews, a move that could be considered a breach of contract. There was even growing speculation that Disney might activate the infamous morality clause, a little-known but powerful provision in many Hollywood contracts. That clause gives studios the legal right to drop or discipline actors whose personal behavior damages the company's brand or reputation. And if that clause was triggered, it could mean major consequences for Rachel, financial, legal, and professional. Then came what the media dubbed the apology. It wasn't a video. It wasn't a tweet. It was a single, tightly worded statement buried inside one interview. Rachel expressed regret, not for what she said, but for how people interpreted her comments. It was the kind of phrasing that screams damage control. Fans weren't buying it. To them, it sounded cold, robotic, and detached. More like a legal requirement than a genuine expression of remorse. In fact, many speculated that a team of Disney lawyers had written it for her word for word, probably with a clause that required her to read it verbatim. There was no emotion, no ownership, no real apology. Just a bland PR band-aid on a bleeding wound. Before Snow White, Rachel Zegler was seen as the future of Hollywood, a breakout talent with sky-high potential and a story that felt almost too good to be true. She was fresh, charismatic, and already making headlines for all the right reasons. From winning a Golden Globe to being personally chosen by Spielberg, everything about her trajectory screamed, next big thing. But after the backlash, everything changed fast. Practically overnight, she went from sought-after to radioactive. The same executives who once courted her for premium roles began distancing themselves. Studio insiders whispered that her name was vanishing from casting shortlists. Planned sequels and spin-offs that were once greenlit with her name attached were now quietly shelved, slipping into the dreaded development limbo. Brand partnerships hit pause. Major endorsements that had been in the works were suddenly off the table. Her once confident management team reportedly splintered, some members advocating for full-blown PR rehab, while others encouraged her to completely disappear from the public eye for at least a year, maybe more. Her next major role, supposedly locked in, was now rumored to be on the chopping block. And the narrative around her shifted in real time, from Hollywood's golden girl to a glaring warning sign. A rising star turned cautionary tale, her name became a case study in how fast the industry can turn on you when the tides shift. If Rachel thought the online hate would die down, it didn't. Users began digging into her past tweets. Some resurfaced old political statements that alienated half her fanbase. Others accused her of hypocrisy. The backlash was no longer just about Snow White, it was about her. YouTubers milked the drama for content. Reddit threads exploded with speculation. Even casual fans who'd never followed the story now saw her as the face of Disney's latest failure. It was relentless. Now here's where it gets eerie. Since the film's collapse, Rachel has stayed almost completely silent. No interviews, no statements, no social media posts for months. Disney, too, seems to be distancing itself. Her name barely appears in new press releases. Upcoming projects once tied to her have gone dark. So, what's happening behind the scenes? Some say she's rebranding. Others think she's in crisis talks with PR teams. And then there's the nuclear theory. Disney legally silenced her to prevent further fallout. Whatever happened to Rachel Zegler, one thing's for sure, this wasn't just a PR misstep. It was a collapse, personal, professional, and possibly contractual. From chosen starlet to Hollywood exile, her story is still unfolding. And until she breaks her silence, the world's left to fill in the blanks. Did she get caught up in something bigger than herself? Or was this the cost of ego in the age of cancel culture? Let me know what you think in the comments, because this one's far from over.